Hi, I'm Jim Commendant, and I'm with the Simcoe Muskoka Graphology Association. This is lesson number 8, spacing. Spacing refers to the distance between letters, words, and lines. Spacing tells how the writer feels towards other people, about his social behavior, and whether or not he thinks fluidly, his intelligence. The space between words and lines varies with the size and speed with which you are writing. In Lesson 4, we focused our attention on the spacing of margins. We will now turn our attention to the spacing of letters, words, and lines. For the sake of this preview video on space, we will focus our attention on line spacing only. The spacing of lines is a conscious element in handwriting. There is no measurement to tell you how much space should be left for lines, but it should be far enough apart for the lower and upper loops of letters not to tangle. Just a note, what one might consider a wide line spacing in one's handwriting may not be that in another's handwriting. The space between lines provides you with information on how well the writer plans and organizes his time. Like many other factors in graphology, there are always many variables. So let's now look at the various variables when it comes to line spacing. He is an organized thinker. He optimizes his time by planning ahead. Somewhat concerned with the use of his resources, that is time, money, and energy. He understands his social boundaries, and he is good with his communication skills. He listens as well as speaks. Wider line spacing. That is more space than is required, but not too wide. This kind of space is made so that the lower loops, like in the letters G, J, and Y, for example, do not clash with the line below it. We say that the writer emphasizes aesthetics in this particular case. They appreciate objects of beauty and have excellent taste. He may be a little extravagant, using his resources, time, energy, or money freely without the fear of running out. He thinks about what he is going to say before he says it. Each line stands alone rather than being a part of the whole picture. The writer has removed himself from the environment. He has isolated himself. He fears that he may make a mistake, a serious error in judgment, or that he will be rejected for not being perfect if he involves himself in the environment. He doesn't have a clear perspective on what is going on around him because of serious distancing. Narrower line spacing, just a little bit narrow. He has less self-knowledge. He is prevented from obtaining a clear perspective, which contributes to this lack of self-knowledge, making him unsure of himself. He may come across bold and self-confident, but inside he is always second-guessing his decisions and his self-worth. He is impulsive in his behavior. He jumps into activities without planning ahead and making sure he has everything in order to succeed with these activities. He has a lot to say but cannot clearly explain himself, not getting the message across. He is overly spontaneous. His thoughts overlap one another into confusion. He sees life as how things are likely to affect him. The writer is overly involved in too many activities, making it hard for him to keep everything in an orderly and appropriate fashion. He acts on his instincts without taking the time to consider the consequences. He is one-sided, being much happier talking than listening. Line spacing is one very good indicator of perspective on life. Perspective is the way we see things, and that can change depending on where the viewer stands. For example, if you wanted to see how tall a building really is, you wouldn't stand right up against the wall and look up. Doing so would interfere with your assessment of how tall the building really is. The same happens when your lines are too close. It interferes with your proper perspective. A certain amount of space is necessary, but not too much space, in order to see a problem or a situation clearly, in order to find a resolution. What you just watched was a very short video clip on spacing, which was just line spacing. In our individual CDs, we cover in a much more broader perspective on each subject, and our CDs are much longer and have much more information than this very brief video that you watched. Our 11-lesson elementary graphology course is available to anyone who wishes to take it. You can contact us at email at graphology@bell.net, or you can write us at the Simcoe Muskoka Graphology Association, 1 Quail Crescent, Unit 306, Barrie, Ontario, L4N 6W9, and we would be happy to send you out a package to let you know the contents of the course in full. Thank you for your time.